Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. It is Tuesday. Hope you all had a happy Memorial Day. We are back, baby, and it is a good day. There he is, right behind me. There he is. The man, the myth, the legend, President DJT himself. No, you guys who are listening on audio podcast, no, it's not really. I mean, it is really him. It's really a cardboard cutout of him. No, he's not actually here. I wish he was. It's big day today. Number one, we did get some updated numbers from ICE, from Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, that we can tell you we are not stuck at 100,000 any longer for our deportation tracker. We are now day 127, 139,000. They finally updated it. Now, I am very happy about this. Yes, thank you to our studio audience who are clapping. So. Oh my God, they just stopped all at the same time, Stephen. That was incredible. Okay, so they're clapping. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And then they just all stop at the same time. That's a great crowd. So, 139,000, not gonna lie, got a lot more to go. All right. But I am encouraged because, whoa. You think Joe Biden would do this? You think Kamala Harris was going to get these illegals out of here? No, of course. It had to be President Trump and JD Vance. And by the way, there was someone on social media who was like, they like wrote this to the Blaze because it was like they wanted to send a letter to my boss or something. And so they were like, I've really tried to like Sara Gonzales, but she just doesn't have to be so nasty. I fully support deportation, but you don't have to be mean about it. You don't have to be mean about it. Guys, I make absolutely no apologies for being so pro-deportation, pro-mass deportation. I want all of these illegal criminals out of my country. Get the hell out of my country and don't come back. I make no apologies for that. So if you can't stand that, this is not the right show for you. All right. So much more to go, but we do appreciate the latest data drop from ICE showing us that we are not, in fact, stuck at 100,000. Now, other good news, you guys might see I'm wearing my Maha necklace, which I got from The Right Side Jewelry, who is just, they're amazing. They've got great stuff. You can go check them out. But I'm wearing my Maha necklace and also drinking from my Maha Moms Club mug, which you can find at saramerch.com. I'm just plugging all the things today, I guess. There it is, saramerch.com. Get your Maha Mom. Do you want to be a member of the Maha Moms Club? Maybe the MAGA Moms Club. You can go find it all. Support your local Ice Raids merch. Yeah, you can find it there too. saramerch.com. Use promo code Sara25 for 25% off. So I'm repping Maha today, okay? Because we had a big announcement that a lot of us were waiting for a very long time. And I, for one, waited very patiently to finally hear the words that were uttered today by Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Here he is with the FDA Commissioner and NIH Director making a big announcement on a certain experimental jab. Watch.
Hi, everybody. I'm Robert F. Kennedy Jr., your HHS Secretary, and I'm here today with NIH Director Dr. Jay Bhattacharya and FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty Makary. I couldn't be more pleased to announce that as of today, the COVID vaccine for healthy children and healthy pregnant women has been removed from the CDC recommended immunization schedule. Last year, the Biden administration urged healthy children to get yet another COVID shot despite the lack of any clinical data to support the repeat booster strategy in children.
That ends today. It's common sense and it's good science.
There's no evidence healthy kids need it today, and most countries have stopped recommending it for children.
We're now one step closer to realizing President Trump's promise to make America healthy again.
Guys, it should have been never recommended to children from the beginning. It should have never been recommended to pregnant women in the beginning. There were no reliable studies showing that this was not harmful to pregnant women, especially, most especially. So the idea that, I don't know, RFK is now killing people because they're removing it from the actual CDC recommended schedule is just complete and total hogwash. You are talking about children, pregnant women. I mean, these are like the most vulnerable, the most, you can't just play guinea pig with these people. They either are the next generation or carrying the next generation. And yet the prior administration was completely willing to not only do that, but threaten your livelihood if you did not go along with this. Now, so of course you have all of these mainstream media hacks that are just, chomping at the bit to try to discredit that crazy anti-vax quack RFK Jr. Cue the mainstream media hysteria over at the Daily Mail. Their headline said, RFK Jr. announces vaccine bombshell as he restricts access for millions of Americans. Restricts access for millions of Americans. So simply saying, I'm looking at the data, okay? And the data does not warrant a CDC recommendation. Therefore, we are removing the recommendation from the schedule. That is, according to the Daily Mail, restricting access for millions of Americans. Maybe those millions of Americans have no business taking this shot in the first place, because when you look at the CDC data, COVID-related mortality, let's just say from 2020 to 2023, in this country, you had 1,696 COVID-related deaths for the 0 to 17 age group. So for children. Now, remember, that's out of, you want to take it by total, 73 million in that age range in total? The total COVID-related mortality for ages 0 to 17, including the years 2020 through 2023, calculates to about 0.5 deaths per 100,000 children. Does that sound deadly to you? Now, on top of that, when you look at the actual data, remember, trust the science. Oh, wait, according to the left, Anthony Fauci is the science, except I prefer to look at the actual data. And when you look at the actual data, there are 2 to 3 comorbidities on nearly 95% of those cases. So you realize very quickly, you're not talking about healthy children, which is what RFK Jr. is saying. Healthy children, healthy pregnant women have no business taking this vaccine, because the bigger question is, how many of these healthy children were completely healthy before they took the shot and then were harmed by these shots, especially when you look at myocarditis, pericarditis, and other serious adverse effects. Because when you look by comparison, again, this is the CDC's own data. This is not Sara Gonzales making stuff up. This is not some anti-vax right-wing conspiracy theory website. This is the CDC. This is the science. At least up until 5 minutes ago, according to the left, okay? So even the CDC says that among males aged 12 to 17, the incidence of myocarditis and pericarditis is approximately 6 cases per 100,000 after the second dose of an mRNA vaccine within 21 days. Now, again, I like to say this a lot. I'm not a mathematician. Stephen, am I a mathematician?
No.
Am I what you would call good at math?
No.
Yeah. See, this is why I'm not offended. We deal in truth and facts in our marriage. And it is very, very, very factual that I am not good at math. Thank you, Stephen. But even I know 6 cases per 100,000 is a lot higher than 0.5 per 100,000. All right. So when you look at all of this, and then you factor in, let's take a January 28th study from this year published in Science, Public Health Policy, and the Law, says that there were 19,028 reports of American COVID vaccine-related deaths as of September 6, 2024, according to, again, our own government data. This is VAERS, the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System, which this was a study that was published by the McCullough Foundation. And when you look at how much was reported, the 19,028 vaccine-related deaths for COVID, when you look at that number that was reported, historically, it has been studied that there is underreporting in VAERS. So when you factor in the underreporting, this particular study says that the deaths reported in VAERS are estimated to be underreported by a multiplier of 31, which means that American deaths from the COVID vaccination may be closer to over 500,000 people. When you take that 19,028 and you multiply it by the 31, you get 589,868 deaths. Again, I'm trusting the science. I'm looking at the CDC's own data. I'm looking at the literally the only government reporting system that we have available to us to track whether or not vaccines are killing us. This is the only system that they've given us. So remember that whenever you give them this information, you give them this data, and they say, well, you can't trust information from VAERS. That's not reliable. Anyone can make a report. That's not reliable. Well, it's the only system you guys have given us. If it's not reliable, why are we using it? If it's not reliable, why haven't you guys given us a better system to track this stuff and report this stuff? It's the only data that we have. So you know what? I'm going to use it. You guys claimed that it was good enough, so we're using it now, okay? So when you look at that, it's like, it's incredible that this vaccine was ever put on the recommended schedule. Now, when you also look at all of the great work that RFK and the NIH and the FDA and the CDC have all done on this, they just in the last couple of weeks, they've really ramped it up. They've put a new warning on it for young males that they might develop heart issues. Now they're removing it from the schedule. I mean, they are amping up what they are doing, the work that they are doing on all of these COVID vaccines and on, I think, vaccines in general. And you start to wonder, well, hold on a second. Isn't it strange that I just read in the news this morning that there's a new COVID variant out? Yeah, the exact timing of RFK Jr. cracking down on all of the insanity, on all of the fraud that happened during COVID. Now, all of a sudden, Forbes reports, there's a new COVID variant out. NB.1.8.1 causes surge in China, spreading in U.S. It says, remember the severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2 that's still spreading, mutating, varianting, and subvarianting and causing COVID-19. Well, there's a new variant of the SARS-CoV-2 in town. It's called the NB.1.8.1 variant, has been causing COVID-19 surges in China, Hong Kong, and Taiwan, and is now spreading in the U.S. Sound the alarm bells. We got to shut down again. We got to come up with an experimental jab again that develops a spike protein that lives inside your body for way longer than they anticipated, that's causing turbo cancer. Go run out and get your vaccine. Yeah, no, we're not doing that again. I mean, I never did it. We never did it. My family never did it. But I have to believe that there are a whole hell of a lot of people who are in this country who did it the first time, who are not. No, we're not doing that again. No. There's a new sheriff in town, and we are not continuing to put big pharma profit ahead of the health of this country. So go for it, guys. You want to give it all you've got. You realize that your cash cow is going away with RFK Jr. at the helm of things, and you're like, we gotta develop a new variant. It's coming from China again. No. Remember that word and use it as often as possible when it comes to this particular topic. All right, make sure that you are subscribed to my YouTube channel if you're watching, especially on YouTube right now. Make sure you're subscribed because sometimes the YouTube overlords, they do some little funky business. So make sure you're subscribed, hit the like button, and comment. It'll help us out in the algorithm. Also, make sure to check me out over at AmericanBeautyBySarah.com. I am wearing American Dream right now on my lips. You too can be wearing American Dream if you go to AmericanBeautyBySarah.com, plus a whole lot more. All right, want to bring in the panel after this. First, I want to thank our sponsor, Relief Factor. So Relief Factor is there for those of you who live in constant pain. You think this is just my life now. It doesn't have to be, folks, all right? Whatever kind of pain it is, knee pain, neck pain, back pain, arthritis. If you're like Steven, you wake up and your back hurts. Because what'd you do, Steven?
I woke up and
Slept.
My back hurt.
Slept.
Yeah.
What did you do to hurt your back?
Slept on a bed that I'm not used to, and
Slept.
yeah.
He slept. That's all he did. He slept. Okay. So if you're
Not even well.
he slept like crap, and all he got in return was a crappy back. But you need to take Relief Factor. Okay, that's what you need, Stephen. That's what you need out there if you are living in pain, aches, pains, whatever the case may be. Try Relief Factor. It's an all-natural anti-inflammatory that gets to the heart of your pain, and it's not like a mask, okay? It actually gets to the root cause, and if it can get you out of pain, it can be life-changing. Try their 3-week quick start. 70% of the people who order that 3-week quick start right there in that picture, surrounded by all these, look at that beautiful avocado. I gotta tell you, I buy avocados from the store. They don't ever look like that when I open them. That's beautiful. And you too can buy that and be out of pain. The odds are in your favor. It's going to work for you. You can go to relieffactor.com, get that 3-week quick start over at relieffactor.com. Welcome to the show. We have Jaco Boyens, Blaze TV contributor and host of The Bottom Line, also founder of Jaco Boyens Ministries, which I encourage all of you to check out over at helpjbm.org. Help them with their mission, which is fighting sex trafficking, human trafficking. So that's kind of a no-brainer. Please help them over at helpjbm.org. We are also joined by Eric July, Blaze TV contributor and founder of Rippaverse Comics, which you all should go check out at rippaverse.com, providing you with woke-free comics.
Yes.
Since, how long has it been now?
3 years next month.
3 years?
I know
Shut
it's
up.
Crazy, right? It's
Yeah.
flying. Time's flying, dude. Man, 3
Really
years.
4 years for us because he was working on it.
Yeah.
Saying, hey, he was showing us like
Yeah, I was.
rough
Yeah.
draft of
Yeah.
characters
Yep.
coming.
Yep.
And, yeah.
So it's since 2022?
Yeah, that's when we officially launched, I think, July 11th of 2022.
Providing you with woke-free comics since 2022, not 1922. He's not that old.
Not that old, not quite.
Not that old. And he also will be the first to tell you that he's the youngest at this table.
I am.
He's always like, I'm younger than all of y'all. So I'm like,
right in
oh, okay, all right. I don't think you're that much younger than me, but okay. I'm glad you guys are here. Your Memorial Day weekend was good?
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Oh, yeah.
I
Good,
was in
good.
DC. Actually took my family with me this time. I don't always get to go, so it was
Oh, good, good, good. Well, I'm glad you guys are here today. I felt like there was kind of a lot that happened over the weekend, even though it was, sometimes it's a holiday weekend and it seems very low key. There was actually a lot that happened that surfaced over the weekend, particularly the fact that Dan Bongino and Kash Patel have announced that they are reviewing now some old cases that the Joe Biden regime just kind of left by the wayside, thought that maybe they wouldn't be picked back up again. But FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino said, shortly after swearing in, the director and I evaluated a number of cases of potential public corruption that understandably have garnered public interest. We made the decision to either reopen or push additional resources and investigative attention to these cases. These cases are the DC pipe bombing investigation, the cocaine discovery at the prior administration's White House, and the leak of the Supreme Court Dobbs case. I receive requested briefings on these cases weekly, and we are making progress. If you have any investigative tips on these matters that may assist us, then please contact the FBI. Now, I thought these cases were just going to kind of go away. It's not that I don't know if I trust Dan Bongino and Kash Patel. The jury's still out on them because of all of the weird, yes, we're releasing the Epstein files day one to, we don't know if it's going to be released. Also, Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. Trust me, he did it. There's nothing to see here. He definitely killed himself. We saw it. Just trust us, bro. And so you have now all of a sudden the DC pipe bombing investigation reopened, looking into it. The leak of the Supreme Court Dobbs case, which honestly, I almost forgot happened because there's so many other things that have happened since then, but it can't be overstated how important it is that we find out who leaked that, because I mean, this was the big case that overturned Roe versus Wade, sent the abortion issue back to the states. And you had, Justice Kavanaugh, you had Justice Alito, you had Justice Thomas, you had all of these Supreme Court justices who were credibly threatened over this leak and over this decision. You had what his name was, John Rosk, who was arrested near Brett Kavanaugh's house, carrying a gun, a knife, and zip ties. So this was a very, very serious leak, and there were, I'll say, rumors that it was tied to Sonia Sotomayor's office. But hey, the Inspector General, they ran a thorough investigation and they just had to close it because they just couldn't figure it out. I mean, this criminal was just the brain cells that this criminal must have, just outsmarting every single expert, every inspector, every investigator. They just covered their tracks, or maybe their tracks were covered for them. So perhaps we will actually find out what happened here. Perhaps there will actually be some accountability. And specifically the cocaine case, I'm very interested in what happened there.
I argue that these cases are about to be investigated for the first time.
Yeah, that's a great point.
It's not.
That's a great point.
Reinvestigate. They were not investigated. I mean, you can't suck this bad. Okay. Nobody. It's intentional. We say this over and over again. These things are intentional. So whether you cover the tracks or just, investigate it, air quotes, and we find nothing. And that's predetermined. And you know what? We don't know where the cocaine came from. It was dropped by some emu or something that flew over the White House, fell through an air duct, and just appeared.
Just there. Just right in that locker right there.
Just in that locker, it just appeared. There's no trace. I was in the White House last week. There's cameras everywhere.
Everywhere.
I mean everywhere. And not
Everyone
just cameras. There's people everywhere. The place is so congested, right? I mean, you can't so I think it's for the first time when, by definition of investigation, I think it's the first time it's being investigated.
Yeah, no, that is a great point. Can the prior investigations even count as investigations, especially with the Supreme Court leak? It's like, well, we interviewed people and they all said they didn't know. So case closed. They said they didn't know. They said it wasn't them. Eric. Yeah. They said it wasn't me.
Who did you interview? The guy.
Yeah.
Was it relevant? I don't know. He was in the area.
No.
So we just picked that guy.
Yeah. All the people who had access to the information, but they reliably informed me that they didn't have anything to do with it. And they were really nice when they said it, so I believed them.
Yeah, I think a couple of things are happening here. Cash and Bongino, particularly Cash, who's there first, they need a dub. Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty bad. I think a lot of their base is rightfully getting a little impatient.
They don't have one.
Bondi can be thrown in there as well, but especially with the FBI. And I think a lot of that has to do with kind of how Cash would speak about it prior to him being put in this position. You thought that there was going to be a pretty massive shakeup. You thought there was going to be a massive uncovering, and maybe you can make the argument for all of the government agencies there. And you haven't really got that big haymaker, that bomb with anything that has been looked at. So I think what they're doing now here is it's a little tactics involved in it as well. Do I agree that all of those instances should be, especially the pipe bomb? If you remember just how that was ran with, particularly with the media there, and trying to paint the other side as these violent people who are like they led with that, and that was a hoax, top to bottom. Really, the whole thing was a hoax. We know that, but it's worth obviously looking into. So the investigation needs to happen. I'd argue that Jaco nails it. That I think the last administration really looked at it into detail. Probably not, especially with that leak there. I think that was one of those there. You got to kind of accept one of two things. One, There is some big incompetence in all of these positions, right? That exists, that all of y'all didn't know anything that was going on and how this happened, or two, it was an inside job. That's the only way something like that
Which
is
is
done
more
that
logic.
clean.
Which is more
more
likely.
logic.
That is more likely to happen, right? Because it's like it's too clean. If you actually looked into it. Either way, this is, of course, information that I think the American people would be happy with finding something there. But I think we for sure have to focus on, they need that dub. They need that dub bad.
Yeah, no, they do. And to your point, Eric, you know, our very own Steve Baker here at Blaze Media has done incredible work on trying to uncover who that pipe bomber was, or just any sort of information about who it could be, who it may be related to. And it was just very bizarre when you start looking at the details of the activity of DC police, of Capitol Police, leading up to that day. You had then VP-elect Kamala Harris, who visited the DNC. It was not on her schedule. She was not supposed to have visited. We still don't know why she was at the DNC. And it was like this very strange, inactive pipe bomb that seemed to be planted and missed by these canine dogs, by these sweeps that they did. I mean, everything around it, everything surrounding it stinks. And I hate that we are living in a time where the last 4 years, I mean, Jaco, you said, and I agree with you, you said this can't just be incompetence, but it's sad that, like, it does give you pause that this was the most incompetent administration in history. And I agree with you. It's right. This is all intentional. There's no way that you guys are that incompetent. But they were the most incompetent. So then you go like, I mean, I don't think it is. I'm pretty sure it's more than that. But you guys were pretty stupid. So
But I want to, and I can't speak out too much, but there's things we're uncovering. I just want to say this, you know, and I spoke about it before the show. The amount of dysfunction that was created intentionally, and I'm talking about intentionally polluting evidence, intentionally corrupting data systems to where today Health and Human Services, the ORR, Director Salazar can't read data because it was intentionally corrupted. They can't share the data with ICE. This notion that we think that bad actors will be in control for 4 years and leave you anything.
That's a great point.
Anything
to
come after them with, get it out of your mind. Forget about your Epstein lists and it's gone. They destroyed it. They left you nothing. They left chaos, which I'll tell you, as fast as the Trump administration, I'm telling you firsthand, I'm sitting in the meetings in DC, as fast as the Trump administration wants to fix, they're learning that I want to get you to the other side of the lake, but we got to build the boat. We thought there was a boat. There's no boat. You got to build the boat. You got to build the systems to fix the system. And it's a waiting game. It's this, hey, if we can't win, break it.
Yeah.
So that all they do is fixing it before advancing it. And the public wants, hey, let's move forward. You're right. Why these cases?
Right.
Because I think they can get a win.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
I
do need one.
Hey, get the win. That's amazing.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, I am not one of those guys that is like, they looks at politics as if it's this like ever so glorious thing where you have all these actors that are always well-intentioned, even if they may be a little stupid. They're always well-intentioned. I don't believe any of that. I believe that with politics come tactics, right?
Yes.
It's a game of optics in a lot of cases. So I do think that trying to get the dubs where they can is a smart move on their behalf. And I do want to be clear about that. I also understand that that's partially why they are doing it, because it's not, this isn't something, I think this frustration that's growing with their base, right? Especially with regards to the FBI, people had saw that how that was weaponized against the people that were like politically aligned with them, at least in some capacity. And so people are frustrated, right? And they're looking for something, like give them something. Like, you guys came in here, you were talking this big game about what we were going to do. You had this one guy who was like, oh, that's the guy we need. He's the guy that's been speaking against the FBI. He said he was going to do this and that. They need something there. And I guess, like, tactically, it makes all the sense in the world to look at the last administration and some of their cover-ups or some of the things that at least happened under their wing to at least try to root out some of these issues, but also, again, get your political victory.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick break. We will be back with more, but we want to thank our sponsor of this segment, MD Hearing. So those of you, maybe you just reached the age where you can't quite hear as much. Your spouse is telling you something at the other end of the kitchen and you're like, huh? I can't hear you. Well, if you do want to actually hear your spouse, which, hey, if you don't, I'm not here to judge. Okay? If you're like, the nagging's gotten too much, I just don't want to hear anymore. I get it. All right. But if you do want to hear what's going on in your life, which I highly recommend, you need to go talk to my friends over at MD Hearing, because these people, so they decided after looking at like how expensive, have you guys seen how expensive hearing aids typically are? You're talking like over $1,000 to help someone hear again. I was like, you're kidding me. MD Hearing was developed with the idea that people should not have to, pay an arm and a leg just to be able to hear again. And they just cut their hearing aid prices in half. These are high quality rechargeable hearing aids that deliver personalized, impressive sound clarity. And they've got this Neo model that costs over 90% less than what you pay at a clinic, and it fits discreetly inside your ear. No one's going to know that you're wearing it. It's very, very tiny. They've even got a Neo XS, their smallest, sleekest model yet. And listen, they've got a 45-day risk-free trial, 100% money-back guarantee. There is no reason not to try them. Hear your spouse again. Go to shopmdhearing.com. Use promo code Sarah to get a pair of hearing aids for $297. That's it. It's not going to be $1,000 or more. It's not going to be an arm and a leg. $297 to hear again. Plus, they're adding a free extra charging case, $100 value just for listeners of this program. You can get it over at shopmdhearing.com. Promo code Sarah. Trump administration is now moving to terminate all federal contracts with Harvard University. This is a escalation in this standoff over these foreign student records, and then, of course, DEI. And there was a letter. There's the headline: Trump admin asking federal agencies to cancel remaining Harvard contracts. By the way, $100 million worth of contracts with Harvard that they are trying to cut here. A letter from the General Services Administration instructs all federal agencies to review these. And you've got, $527,000 for Harvard managementor licenses, $523,000 for research on energy drinks and health outcomes, $39,000 for graduate student research services. And this letter says that Harvard has shown no indication of reforming its race-based admissions, even after the Supreme Court ruled against it. So the statistics that they cited, they have a 56% admission rate for Black applicants and 13% for Asians. Which, I'm just saying, when I went to high school, I didn't stand a chance of getting in like the top 10, top 15% of my class, because there were a bunch of Asians and Indians and they got like 4.5 GPA. And I was like, I didn't even know that was possible. I don't know. I was just at a measly like 3.8 or 3.9. And so I'm just saying, I think that they're doing well on the test scores, somehow not getting admitted to Harvard. I wonder why. Let me read this Trump Truth Social post. Why isn't Harvard saying that almost 31% of their students are from foreign lands, and yet those countries, some not at all friendly towards the United States, pay nothing toward their students' education, nor do they ever intend to? Nobody told us that. We want to know who those foreign students are, a reasonable request since we give Harvard billions of dollars, but Harvard isn't exactly forthcoming. We want those names and countries. Harvard has $52 million. Use it and stop asking for the federal government to continue granting money to you. And then he doubled down with another one here. But I mean, the beautiful thing about President Trump is that not only is he addressing the easy things that everyone is like, yes, we should close the borders. Yes, we should root out waste, fraud, and corruption from taxpayer money. Yes, we should do all of that. But like, I'm up to speed with political issues, right? I don't profess to be like the brightest light bulb out there, but I never thought about the fact that our taxpayer money was subsidizing these foreign students who are coming over here, and we are educating them, and then they are taking that knowledge and oftentimes going back and helping their home country, or taking that knowledge and getting a job here and then sending money back. I mean, it's just not a good deal for us, any which way you slice it, especially when you consider that there's no vetting process and no way to know whether or not these are potential terrorists. Certainly you could question that, considering all of the protests that popped up after October 7th, and you had all of these anti-Semites at these college campuses who are occupying illegally their grounds. So, it's like, after those events, I'm like, I never actually thought about these issues that I never thought about the Panama Canal. I really didn't. I mean, I knew that trade was imbalanced, but it's like these things that he talks about, Greenland. These things that he talks about, that like he's thinking about the big picture, easy stuff, but he is also thinking so far outside the box and thinking about things that no prior administration has even thought about touching. It is really incredible how good he is at getting attention to the things that need attention to, that people don't typically talk about or think about.
Because this time around, different than the first administration, than 45, 47, is taking input from trusted, amazing people around him. He's got amazing people around him who really do think outside the box, like the Greenland move, or hey, why don't we just dagger him and call it the Gulf of America, not the Gulf of Mexico?
Right.
That's not just a name, by the way. That's very strategic.
Yes.
It's unbelievably sound. If you know that China's been trying to take the port of Manzanillo in the Dominican Republic, they're trying to take, the Gulf as a fortress for military action. These things matter. So he has great people around him that give him advice. He's taking advice. He's cleaned up that inner circle. It's an amazing inner circle. All the secretaries are talking to one another. I just want to say this. Kristi Noem could tomorrow quickly help the president. Just take all the F1 visas that were issued, that is currently at the Office of International Students inside Harvard, because every school has an international office with F1 visas. Pull the F1 visas, see who they are, and start cross-referencing who their families are in other countries and why are they here. Because some of them are not here to be good to America. May I remind us on who trained the pilots to be pilots in 9/11? Whether it was planes or not is a whole other conversation. But there are people here in our schools that are not here for America's good. And so just pull the F1 visas, look at it, and they'll know. But I like this Harvard battle. I like the cleansing of the indoctrination camps and the Ivy League that's holier than thou and think they're above everybody else, and they think that those think tanks run this country. That season, I think, is over.
Yeah, which to that point, the State Department did come out and say earlier this afternoon, they said that they are pausing new student visa appointments entirely. They want to pause the entire system. They told all their embassies, pause this, and we want to expand social media vetting. And it's like, wow, if that wasn't happening, that's a real big freaking miss.
It
wasn't happening. You guys are not
or
vetting.
Maybe it was. They were picking them by who can help.
The terrorists.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Who can help break it down.
Yeah, so they're like, you know what? Let's just stop this, and let's start adding in different layers of security, because we're not against visas. We're not against legal immigration, but we need to make sure that we are, only allowing the best and brightest into this country. That's kind of the whole point.
The thing that I appreciate about Trump here and the administration is that, for better or worse, I mean, no matter how you feel about his position on various topics, whether you agree or disagree, I don't think it's least important to what I'm about to say, but it sparks this conversation that we should have been having nationally a long time ago. Maybe it had been happening, but it was happening to a much smaller degree. I have been one of the proponents against federal involvement in the education system for a very long time. It is rotten, and it's rotten to its core. And even the institutions that claim to be private are very subsidized by the federal government through the grant system and indirectly through the loan and grant system that's going directly to students, which should be abolished. It should be eliminated in its entirety. how we see education here, and I know it's probably going to aggravate maybe some people that are watchers of the show, but however, I guess a lot of people, let's say, view education as old, broken, and archaic. This idea that you are sending people off to these institutions in which they are going to learn how to be better human beings and be productive members of society, excuse my language, is absolute horse shit. Most of the degrees that they get are useless. You can't do absolutely anything with. The only thing that you actually can do with it is go teach other people that are also going to get the worthless degree, which is why you have so many professors that are tenured that teach a bunch of students a bunch of horse shit, right? And it needs to be eliminated, right? And I think that, I know, it was funny seeing people gripe about university and how much it costs. Well, the government being involved in, again, the grant and loan business specifically, it's directly why a university costs as much as it does right now. They basically get blank checks, and that's all colleges are these days. Is colleges are trying just to outspend one another, and they get to do it. Again, they're getting subsidized either indirectly through the grant and loan system going to the students, or they're getting funded directly via grants that are the federal government paying paying the institutions, right? So they need it. It's something that I wish people would understand is a very serious topic. It's not just a Harvard issue, okay? Harvard is the look. If you want to focus on them, great.
It's a target for the moment.
It's a target for the moment, but this is a systematic issue, right? That should be addressed, especially with the growth of like technology and the way that it has been. What you think university is not what it is. And this is someone that I went to college, and I went there as an athlete as well. It's bullshit. Most of your professors don't know dick about what they're talking about, especially about the subject matter that they should. Economics, you think these guys are a bunch of Austrians and Chicago economists that are teaching your students about econ? You think they come from the school of thought that Friedman came from or Sowell came from? No, they're a bunch of Keynesians and Marxists, and they teach your students. So you have to address that issue if you want to address America at large, because it starts there. Everybody's been funneling. Your public education system is designed to funnel people to these advanced. That's an indoctrination camp in itself. The university is the advanced indoctrination camp, and that's where they really, really, really get you. So I love that this conversation is finally being had. I know Harvard is the focus, but it's a systemic issue that needs to get addressed.
Yeah. You're not wrong. And I think that I saw something that President Trump proposed that this money that the federal government is currently providing go to trade schools instead.
Absolutely. I would prefer I don't
want any taxpayer dollars.
I'm not for welfare statism, and I want to be clear. But if you had to choose between the universities versus a trade school, I'm choosing the latter 9 times out of 9.
As long as you are charging the taxpayer based on their property tax, and property tax is directly linked to education. As long as the taxpayer is paying property taxes, there needs to be accountability for that tax system for education. Rather put it into something that's going to build America, like the trades, build good, strong families, build values and ethics in the family, where a father goes to a job and a son looks at his dad waking up and fighting for the family and building something and employing people, small business, then sending it to Harvard. So, but Harvard's just it's the one. I mean, there's thousands. If you really look at the massive discrepancy on for-profit education. For-profit educators have to show gainful employment of their students of 70%. So if you go to a for-profit educator, that school has to every year, to stay in compliance, show that 70% of their students are employed in the field of study. You know what the percentages Harvard has to show? 0. There's 0 accountability for not-for-profit educators. Wait a second.
That's insane.
And the for-profit educators don't get the support that the not-for-profit gets.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah. It's total insanity. Again, something that I had not really even thought much about until President Trump sounds the alarm on it. And I'm like, holy crap, I can't believe we were doing this for so long. Of course we need to change it. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick break. We will be back with more. First, we want to thank our sponsor, this segment, Preborn. Guys, this is the last week of May. This is the last week that we are having our big push to get to 600 ultrasounds. What Preborn is doing is very simple. They are saving babies' lives because when a scared mother goes into one of their clinics, they have got this unplanned pregnancy. They're thinking about doing the unthinkable, terminating their own baby's life, okay? They go in a preborn clinic, and instead of being lied to, instead of being told this is just a clump of cells and it's going to be no problem if you just abort it, they are actually shown their baby on ultrasound. They listen to the baby's heartbeat. And in that moment...
I'm doing 2 now.
Are you?
Live on the show.
Yay! I
Live
love
on
that.
the show. I said last
you.
week. Next
Thank
week
you.
I'm doing 2 babies live.
Because look at that.
I'm giving 2 ultrasounds live.
So
on
this was the graphic before we went to break. I have a feeling we probably are a little bit above that. So what, 150 people donate $28. That is 1 ultrasound. Jaco's donating for 2. How many ultrasounds can you help us sponsor? We are trying to save babies' lives here. Please help us get to 600. This is the last week to do it. Even if it's just $28, that is 1 ultrasound saving a baby's life, because babies' lives they've got like double the chance of living once that mom sees their baby on the ultrasound. You can go to preborn.com/Sarah. Thank you, Jaco, for your donation to Preborn. Those of you who, please, $28, help us get to 600. This is the last week. Preborn.com/Sarah. Emmanuel Macron had quite the awkward moment when he was they touched down his plane. I believe this was in Vietnam, and he was going to make his way to go talk to reporters, and a little marital spat happened. Uh-oh. There it was. Whoop. Do it again. There he is, and he's talking to someone, and then, right for the mouth. Oh, boy. And hey, press, didn't see you there. No problem. We were just joking. That was just a joke, is what he ended up saying. That was, of course, there is his, if you want to call this person a wife, you're more than welcome to. Looks like a dude to me. His spouse, Brigitte Macron, who just grabbed him by the face. And I'm sorry, but that is not a joke. Has your wife ever grabbed you like that?
Nope.
I certainly have
that's
never grabbed that to
little
Stephen
spousal abuse. If that's what happens there, can you imagine that night later on?
Oh, God.
So-
when the wig comes off and he gets all, yeah, no.
There's definitely a grunt and a
Male
growl.
on male violence right there.
Yes. You could see who wears the pants in that house. I mean, imagine if that's your
Literally.
leader. Just for a second, this is what I thought. If you're the nation and you go, that's your leader. And then he's like, and then it's, like Mickey Mouse,
wave.
Mickey's Village, right? I mean,
Hello. Hey, press. Do you think that his wave was for her?
The
To
press.
alert, but do you think his wave was to alert
oh,
her, like,
like-
there are cameras watching us, please stop abusing me?
because maybe normally after the push comes a punch, or something like that. So I don't know. This guy,
That's why you don't marry men. It's
that
not
would be
advised.
really
to marry
good
a-
advice.
To marry
That's
a
really
fake
good advice.
woman. I'm just saying.
That's
Live
really
by it.
good advice.
Live by it, Eric.
Yeah, I don't know why your spouse be putting their hands on you like that.
Remember, this was like, she was 40 years old, and
In
he
the-
was
in the
15
face.
when they met.
Yeah,
That's a problem to
we
start
call it a
with.
muff.
Even if that's a woman.
what happened?
That's like cougar, major.
Oh, that's not a woman. That is not a woman. That was male on male violence. It needs to stop.